Phison tackling Windows 11 24H2 SSD and HDD failure issue. This story is making waves because new Windows 11 24H2 updates released this month have unexpectedly caused major problems for some SSD and HDD drives. And the culprit seems to be linked to the KB5063878 security update and the KB5062660 preview update, both of which appear to trigger serious errors during heavy write operations. Something that should never happen with trusted updates. And here's where it gets alarming. The bug occurs most often during transfers of more than 50 gigabytes when the SSD is already more than 60% full. In these scenarios, many drives suddenly become inaccessible until the system is restarted, leaving users shocked and frustrated. And out of 21 SSDs tested in early reports, 12 showed this strange and dangerous behavior. But the most worrying case came from the Western Digital SA510 2 terabytes SSD, which could not be recovered at all, resulting in total and permanent data loss. And while in some instances, restarting the system temporarily made the drives accessible again, other drives remain completely unusable even after multiple reboots. A terrifying outcome for anyone who values their important files, work data, photos, or projects. And according to initial findings, SSDs without DRAM, particularly those using Phison controllers, seem to have a much higher chance of encountering this issue even under smaller write loads, making budget and mid-range SSDs more at risk compared to higher-end models with DRAM. But the situation doesn't stop with SSDs alone, because even some HDDs have shown similar problems under comparable workloads, meaning both solid-state and mechanical drives could be at risk if they meet these conditions. And that is a nightmare for Windows 11 24H2 users who rely heavily on large data transfers for video editing, gaming, or enterprise storage. As a simple update meant to secure the system has now become a potential disaster for hardware reliability and data integrity. But there's some hope on the horizon because Phison is already working with Microsoft and other industry partners to tackle the issue. And in a statement shared with Bleeping Computer, a Phison spokesperson confirmed, and I quote, Phison has recently been made aware of the industry-wide effects of the KB5063878 and KB5062660 updates on Windows 11 that potentially impacted several storage devices, including some supported by Phison. We understand the disruption this may have caused and promptly engage industry stakeholders. At this time, the controllers that may have been affected are under review, and we are working with partners. End quote. And this official acknowledgement at least reassures users that the problem is not being ignored. But it does raise big questions about Microsoft's update quality testing. Because how could such a critical issue slip through and affect so many drives in such a fundamental way, especially when it leads to unrecoverable SSD failures? And now many in the tech community are advising caution, suggesting that users hold off on installing KB5063878 and KB5062660, if possible, until a stable fix is confirmed, or at least ensure they have a full backup of critical data before proceeding. Because once data is corrupted by this bug, recovery seems nearly impossible in many cases. And imagine the frustration of losing terabytes of data just because of a single Windows update. It's not just an inconvenience, it's devastating, especially for businesses or individuals handling sensitive work. And this issue once again highlights the importance of maintaining backup strategies, using cloud solutions or external drives to safeguard important files before performing any major system updates. Because even in 2025, update-related risks still exist. And what makes this even more worrying is that this is not the first time Microsoft updates have caused problems. We've seen printers, drivers, and even performance issues break after patches in previous years. But data corruption and hardware failures are on a whole different level, putting pressure on Microsoft to act fast. And while Phison has stepped up to investigate, users of other controllers remain anxious, because the real scope of the issue may go beyond Phison, as the behavior is reproducible under stress on multiple drives, meaning a systemic compatibility bug may be at play. And if so, Microsoft needs to coordinate closely with all storage vendors to resolve it. Until then, the best advice remains caution. Delay installing updates if you can. And if you already installed KB5063878 or KB5062660, monitor your SSD or HDD closely. Avoid huge write operations until a fix arrives. And always keep a backup ready, because once your drive becomes inaccessible, no simple restart may save it. And this entire episode should serve as a reminder that even with advanced technology, small coding errors or compatibility gaps can have enormous consequences, making it more important than ever for users to stay informed, prepared, and proactive when dealing with Windows updates. And as Phison, Microsoft, and industry partners continue to search for solutions, we will keep following this story closely, because the outcome will affect millions of Windows 11 24H2 users worldwide, and the lessons learned from this bug could reshape how future updates are tested and released, ensuring reliability for all. And for now, all eyes are on Microsoft's next move, because with SSDs and HDDs at risk, this is no longer a minor issue, but one of the most serious update-related problems in recent memory. So stay safe, back up your data, and stay tuned for more updates right here on TechVerse.